Hey there, for those for the first time here, my name is Zach. I'm 23 years old, Russian citizen who left Russia because of the war against Ukraine, and today we are going to see what has happened in Russia in the past week. Let's go. This is Daniil Malyavin. He's 24 years old, a Russian teacher of biology and chemistry from the far east of Russia, where I'm originally from the city of Khabarovsk. He's a good teacher. Here it says "лучший молодой учитель," which meaning the best young teacher, and this is literally him, a teacher of chemistry and biology. This is his face. This is him. So he is recognized as a good teacher, as a good young teacher. Here, Daniil even has a picture with one of the local representatives of the government, and apparently, he's a good teacher. Kids love him. He knows what he's teaching. Everything's good, except for one thing. Daniil Malyavin just got fired from his work. You know why? Because he likes to dance like this. So Daniil filmed this video a long time ago, actually a couple years before he became a teacher, while he was still in university. And he published that video, but it was hidden from the public. It was published on his VK profile. However, some of the parents of children he's teaching to found this video somehow and decided that they don't want their children to be taught by this guy. So they actually went to principal office, complained about it, and the principal's office fired the guy. Only because of his dances, which he does outside of school. It's his private life, okay? And it's not a crime just to dance. Russian parents literally think if their children is gonna see their teacher dancing like this outside of school, they're gonna do the same. I have this news for the Russian parents. It's not the way it works. But unfortunately, Daniil Malyavin was fired from his job just because he is not dancing the way people prefer. This is a document from the Federal Service of Intellectual Property. So basically, if you want to register a symbol of a company, a logo, or a patent, or anything basically related to intellectual property, you have to register this through the service. And interesting enough, one interesting logo, which is literally pronounced as "ohuy," which is in Russian, is a very bad word actually. It was registered by, guess who? LG. Here it says заявитель, applicant, and it says LG H&H Co. Ltd. 58, Samrano Chongo, Seoul, Republic of Korea. And interesting enough, but this is not the LG company that's making electronics. This is their like a branch company that's doing like LG household and LG healthcare, apparently. But for some reason, LG decided to register a logo in Russia, and apparently they've called it "ohuy," which is looks like a huge trolley, to be honest, from the LG. Maybe they have some Ukrainian workers over there in Seoul, and they just decided to like choke on the intellectual property service of Russia. But that's quite hilarious. We'll see if LG is actually gonna do anything in Russia. Here's a video of Valery Fadeev, who is right here on the video, who is the chairman of the Human Rights Commission at the President's Office of Russia. So basically, he is in charge for human rights and its violation in Russia. He should be the advocate for human rights. And Sergei Fadeev decided to say an interesting thing as a Human Rights Committee chairman. We need to increase our army, he says. I think that we need to get back to full conscriptional service. 3/4 of young men are now going through the army in Russia. I'm not asking to have a full mobilization and send young people to the front lines. I'm not talking about this. I think that every young man, doesn't matter what's the condition of his health. If his health is bad, let him serve in the kitchen. or in headquarters as a writer. All young men has to go through hell because the world is in a condition of a long war. Well, I'll tell you, it's not the world that is in condition of the long war. It's Russia that dragged itself into a big war on a foreign territory, not fighting for anything that could potentially do good for Russia. Literally zero. And now he's saying because of Russia's done this, we have to get more men, even those who have bad health conditions, into the conscriptional service. And conscripts in Russia are not getting sent to the front lines. Sometimes they are getting sent to Kursk Oblast or to the border with Ukraine. Sometimes in Crimea, but never they are being sent to the front lines themselves. In Kursk, some of the conscripts got, taken, but because Kursk is not part of Ukraine, okay? So they were there, and it's actually legal by law for them to be there, conscripts. But regular conscripts not being sent to the front lines. But after conscripts are discharged from the conscriptional service from serving 1 year in the army, they can be mobilized. And apparently we know that they can still mobilize people if they really want to. Putin didn't cancel its own order to mobilize people from 2022. Nothing has changed really. And apparently he says that we need to put all men in the army. But the thing is that you can actually dodge the army if you have medical conditions, if you have, I think, 2 children. Also, if you are studying to become a doctor or a teacher, you may be allowed not to go to the army. However, this guy says, even if you have, let's say, a heart condition, you still have to go to the army and you can just work in the kitchens. Well, I'll tell you, in the army, nobody cares whether you have a medical condition or not. Your officers are going to bully you if you're not going to do what everyone else is doing, meaning like physical exercises, meaning going for a jog, doing push-ups, pull-ups. What's happening quite often actually, if somebody from the conscripts brings a phone into the army and an officer finds out about the phone, guess what's happening? Every single soldier in the squad starts doing push-ups. And they doing push-ups unless they almost freaking die. And if a person has a heart condition, an officer is not gonna be, oh no, you can be free. You don't have to do push-ups. You'll be fine. No, the officer is gonna make this kid do push-ups, and his heart is not gonna just do that. I'm not even talking about the heart conditions. Anything else? What about mental problems? What if it's a schizophrenic guy who literally can just, steal an AK and shoot his freaking comrades? So yeah, that's an interesting way of taking care about human rights. Sergey Fadeev, Valery Fadeev, I don't think you really qualified for your job as a chairman for the human rights, because this feels like another violation of human rights to me, which is not a surprise in the modern Russia anyway. This guy is a Ministry of Health in Primorsky Krai in the far east of Russia. And apparently, he said that ladies who want to build a career instead of having baby right after school, they should make babies during breaks at their work. And moreover, he says, if you will not have someone to leave a baby with when you are at work, you can just take a baby with you to work. That's a really interesting advice from a man to women, firstly. Secondly, right now in Russia, there is this wave of anti-child free. Basically, anything child free related is getting banned right now on the internet. I mean, literally, even little tiny communities on VK, which is a Russian Facebook basically, named child free, that literally had like 50 subscribers, got banned from the Russian internet because they are trying to fight child free movement, if we can call it a movement. Even it's just philosophy, I guess. And apparently they just need more babies to fight, to be born, so Putin would have more soldiers in 20 years to fight more wars. And now they were trying to they were trying to ban abortions, even though they didn't do it on a federal level, but they somehow negotiated with the private clinics to cancel abortions. It was a big thing, like maybe like a half a year ago. I really don't know if it's still in place. I need to ask a couple of my female friends actually in Russia. Maybe they can help me with this. But apparently, yeah, they try to make women to make as much babies as possible to fight future wars. Russia has a really low birth rate, lower than the United States, and plus Russia doesn't have as many immigrants as United States does or other countries in Europe. So yeah, they just need basically people to replace it. Otherwise, Russians just gonna die out. You don't even have to fight Russians. I mean, if everything goes according to this kind of trend, Russians gonna die out, and Japan is literally gonna have a bigger population than Russia. Not a lot of people actually know, but Japanese population is about 143 million people, and Russian population is 147 million people. Probably now even less, considering the losses of the war. Nobody really knows what's the real number of losses. But apparently, it's about the same. And it seems like it might even go lower because of this war. And while this is happening, this guy, the Ministry of Health of Primorsky Krai, is literally offering women to give birth to make babies at work during their breaks, during like a lunch break, for example. And I really don't think this is gonna make a lot of his statement is gonna make a lot of sense to women who are considering having a child. I really don't think so with the people who are in charge for medicine, for healthcare in the region. I would look at it as like, do I really trust this guy? And hospitals that are he is in charge of? No, I don't think so. This is Elvira Nabiulina, and she is the head of the Central Bank of Russia, the person who is in charge for the federal funds rate. And recently, she raised federal funds rate up to 19%. 19%. You heard it right. When I've heard that, I was like, what? How people can even afford taking a loan or a mortgage with this percentage? And I've asked this question. To answer this question, let's go to this website. This website is called domklik.ru. It basically is a website of the main bank of Russia, which is a Sberbank, owned, well, on paper, it's a private bank. In practice, it's owned by the government. And eventually, let's try to translate it to English so you can make some sense out of it. So we are, let's say, buying a used apartment in one of the commie blocks somewhere in Moscow. I looked up the price before, so let's say we're gonna buy one for 10 millions of rubles. We are going to make a deposit, initial payment of 15%. We don't want to take it for 30 years because I don't think I can make it. I can live in Moscow and not go crazy in 30 years. So let's do 20 years. And let's look about the same. So let's look what kind of, oh my God, 23.1% interest year annually. Wow. That is a lot. Monthly payment 166,567 rubles. Acquired income is changing, but it's 214,000 rubles. That is crazy. This is like probably 3 to 2.5 times higher than the average salary in Moscow. Monthly payment is also huge. I mean, maybe like some kind of really, really good software developers in Moscow would make that much money, but like most of the people do not make that. Like an average salary in Moscow, I would guess probably about 70, maybe 65,000 of rubles. So basically, it's almost 3 times like the monthly payment is higher than the amount of money you make in Moscow as a regular citizen. This is crazy. I mean, who would be able to afford 23.1 interest rate? I'm actually curious to see how much money am I gonna overpay for this. Wait, what? Ain't no way. No, 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 no. It can be right. I don't think so. 20. Wait. So for 20 years, we are paying every month. So there are 12 months in a year. This is how many months we'll have to pay this. Then we take the monthly payment, which is 166,567 rubles, multiply by 240. Oh my god. This is crazy. I mean, if that's true, this is actually, this is crazy. I mean, you're buying an apartment for 10 millions of rubles, you end up overpaying 4 times more in 20 years. This is crazy. I mean, you're literally overpaying 40 millions of rubles, 4 times more than the apartment itself. And this is like, it's 40 million of rubles. How much is that in like US dollars? That's gotta be like a lot. So apparently you are paying 433,000 of dollars for a regular commie block apartment in Moscow if you're buying it for 10 million rubles. And I guess some of you may not believe that's actually the price of the Soviet apartment in Moscow. Well, let's go and explore a little bit. Here's a website called Tsean, which is basically a Russian analog of Zillow, one of the most popular, real estate websites. So let's see what can we buy for 10 millions of rubles. 2-room apartment for 13, a little bit over our budget. 400. Okay, here's 11,500,000. Okay, we're gonna look this one. Okay, so eventually I found 2 apartments. This one, a 3-bedroom apartment, which is in American standards is actually 2-bedroom apartment, because in Russia we count living room as a separate room, because guess what, people actually live there. Like in my childhood, for example, my parents used to live in a living room, and I usually had myself a bedroom. Yeah, I'm a spoiled kid, I know. So here we go, 10,300,000 dollars, rubles, dollars. No, not for this. And look at that. This is literally old Soviet apartment. Like, I'm pretty sure this furniture here is literally from the Soviet times. I mean, nothing fancy, and you got a shitty look at another commie block. And I mean, this is literally nothing. Like, yeah, it's another commie block. Well, good playground. But yeah, look at the, oh, like, oh my god, I don't wanna see this. But I mean, this is also so weird. This is so weird. I mean, this whole apartment is oh my god, look at that. Oh my, and they are selling this for 10 million rubles, which eventually, when you pay out your mortgage, is gonna be almost 400,000 of dollars, even over than that. And well, here's another apartment for a higher price, 11,500,000 rubles. And metro station is Kantemirovskaya. Actually, I've stayed there a couple of times. It's kind of far from the center of Moscow, so it's not really bougie or whatever. At least it has a good design, and furniture is not from the Soviet Union, and looks fine. Looks pretty spacious. But what house is this? What building is this? I'm really curious. Okay, so it's another Soviet commie block. Literally, you are buying an apartment in a commie block with this kind of entrance. At least I'm pretty sure yeah, it has an elevator. But yeah, you're buying this. Real mortgage levels. Oh yeah, sure. Not with the main Russian bank, which is a Gazprom bank, because they are going to charge you 23.1. Wait, what if we make it like 11,500? Nothing's changed. Percent interest rate is not changed. You are still gonna overpay a lot of money, and this is wild. I mean, the people who are saying like Russian economy is strong and stuff, well, I not in this kind of scenario. Speaking of YouTube, one analytical company has calculated how fewer Russians have started to watch YouTube, and apparently the views in Russia has decreased by 52%, meaning some people started to watch content on Russian replacements, which is Rutube, which is VK Video, which is Yandex Video. I'm actually going to make a separate video showing you the difference between those platforms and if they are actually a good replacement for YouTube, which they're not. But apparently I'm going to tell you all the difference in the next video. Andrei Tkachov, a Russian priest of the Russian Orthodox Church or the Moscow Patriarchy, one of the most known as a Z priests of Russian Orthodox Church, who is a big advocate for the war against Ukraine. He called Ukrainian Nazis. He was calling for, the total war against all the satanic West. So basically, one of the ideologists of the Russia nowadays came out with a new statement. Let's see what he has to say. We need so the boys knew how to fight and how to learn. How to sleep on the ground and be full from one piece of bread. And when you grow up, so they would bring you to a challenge workshop or to a gun workshop. They'll bring you to туда-сюда. Oh my gosh, these hand gestures really tell me what's the background where this guy comes from. Like this kind of like hand gestures are really known for I would say people who are related to kind of criminal. I would bet this guy, I don't really know the biography of Tkachov, but to me it seems for what he says and for how he behaves and his gestures that he's been part of some gang back in 90s or late 80s and at the blink of the collapse of the USSR. That's amazing. So he basically says that our boys need to learn how to sleep on the ground, how to be full from one piece of bread, and when you grow up without proper food or proper conditions, meaning even like a bed basically, you'll be a perfect candidate to learn how to shoot a gun and then go kill someone basically. So he says we need young men to be slaves, but not just regular slaves, the skillful slaves who can learn fast, all kind of stuff. Says women should swim in the kitchen, whatever that means. Between all those house chores. That's where they belong, he said. He literally just said women belong to the kitchen. Okay, then Andrei Tkachov, alright. I'm not really surprised to hear this from the Russian Orthodox priest, to be honest. Russian Orthodox Church is literally part of the government. It's part of the Putinist government. It's been part of the KGB to survive, and apparently the independent Russian Orthodox Church is almost non-existent. There are a couple of priests, most of them left Russia, who couldn't believe with the Putinist invasion into Ukraine. But apparently most of the priests who are part of the Russian Orthodox Church of Moscow Patriarchy are literally serving the interests of Putin. That's just my opinion. And I have a lot of proofs of this in my video about Russian Orthodox Church. You can check this out on my channel. Andrei Kolesnik, a member of the lower bracket of the Russian parliament, so-called Gosduma, he came up with this genius proposal. He said that we need to put down the moratorium, which is prohibition on having nuclear testing on the territory of Russia. So basically he says that we need to have a bomb blown up somewhere, in the desert on the border with Kazakhstan, I guess, or whatever, or in Siberia, to show the world that we have the nukes. And showing a one bomb blowing up somewhere in Siberia, which is a perfect example, by the way, of the Russian phrase «бей своих, чтобы чужие боялись», translates is beat your own people so the other ones would be afraid. That's literally a perfect example. Why you have it here, okay? Why would you blown up it on territory of Russia to show it's actually working? It's not gonna, do anything, literally. But apparently Andrei Kolesnik is thinking the other way. He thinks that if we're going to blow up the forest somewhere in Siberia, we're gonna show to everyone how powerful Russia is and everyone will stop funding Ukraine. No, I don't think this is the way it's gonna work. Yemen Houthis have been seen in the Russian military. Here's another post from Facebook with literally Yemen Houthis in the Russian uniform. And I mean, it's easily, you can tell by the uniform, by the color of this. Russia has this kind of dark green uniform. Ukrainians usually have a brighter one. There is this funny video with this Yemen Houthi who is basically is trying to learn Russian, and this Russian guy who's filming the video is trying to question him whether he understands some of the directions or not.
Давай. Автомат.
He says автомат, which is just a rifle. Предохранитель. Okay. A safety trigger. I don't even know the word in English. He knows Russian better than I do English. Good.
Предохранитель.
Заряжать load, which is not really, but okay. We can. People will understand. Снимаем. Take it apart.
Угу. Крышка.
Крышка. He knows the word крышка, which is basically a lid, kind of like a top.
Погромче говори. Громче.
He says louder. He says нужна вода. I need water. Нужна еда. I need food.
Ага.
Братишка, what? Братишка дрон?
Ага.
Братишка, дрон. Внимание, братишка.
Внимание справа, где это?
I don't understand what he's been saying. I think this Russian guy too.
Внимание, братишка.
How can you like fly with someone together in the same trench and like coordinate stuff if they don't even know, if they don't even speak your language? That's actually wild.
Внимание справа, где это?
He's asking внимание справа, attention on the right. Where is this?
Справа.
Okay, right. Okay, he's doing it right.
Внимание справа.
Патрона, нужна патрона.
Патроны, I need bullets. I need ammo.
Нужна граната.
Wait, was that another guy? Yeah, there was another. I can tell by the accent. Non-Russian speaker is like into him. I need. Нужна граната.
Нужна граната.
I need a grenade.
Плохо будешь.
What? Плохо будешь?
Плохо будешь.
Плохо будешь? I don't know what that means.
Окоп.
Окоп.
Окоп, that's a trench.
Что такое окоп?
Окоп.
Окоп, okay, that's a trench. He knows this.
Прямо.
Прямо,
Прямо.
directly,
Вперед.
in front of you.
Вперед. Вперед.
He thinks вперед, which is a direction like in front of you, he means it's like go. He means like go actually, which is
Прием.
not, but okay. I mean, understandable.
Как?
Прием.
Oh, прием is like Roger.
Саид.
Said, that's his name. Roger, Said.
Угу.
Вон.
I don't know
Каска.
what he says. Kaska, helmet.
Бери гнет.
Бронежилет.
Бронежилет.
I was trying.
Назад.
Назад in the back.
Блиндаж.
Blindage. It's like I don't know actually in English. Blindage. It's like a little construction in the trenches where you can hide under. So apparently Russia is hiring Yemen Houthis to fight for them because well they just tried to hire whoever. They've tried people from Nepal, from India. The Indian prime minister literally had to come back to Russia and ask Putin to let those soldiers to cancel their contract with the Russian side so the Indians could go back. I mean, they hired Africans, pretty much anyone who just won't make, a couple of $1,000 fighting for Russia. And here you go, another example of Yemen Houthis. On the building of the medical university in the city of Volgograd, which is basically a ex-Stalingrad, local authorities decided to restore the bas-relief, basically the portrait of Stalin on the side of the wall. And apparently this picture was It used to be there during Stalin's rule, but when Stalin has died, Khrushchev came to power, and the so-called de-Stalinization has happened. It was taken down. And so far, I mean, we even remember Putin has been saying something bad about Stalin when he was trying to play a Democrat. But apparently now it's getting back into the fashion. Stalin is now back officially. People who were recognized as oppressed, as repressed by Stalin, are now getting called traitors again. They open new and new monuments to Stalin in Russia. And here you go, they even decided to restore this old barelyev on the side of the medical university. Remember from the previous video, I told you that the protest against slowing down of YouTube in Moscow was cancelled because of the so-called coronavirus restrictions? Well, those coronavirus restrictions didn't stop the Russian government from having this exhibition out here, out in public. And we can see there is some kind of road and highway goes along. And at that exhibition, they were showing the captured Ukrainian tanks and other armored vehicles. This is just hilarious how the Russian government is like, okay, if this rally or protest or exhibition is against the regime, we don't let that to happen because it's COVID. Because we are afraid all the protesters are gonna go and catch COVID and gonna die. But if it's to show Ukrainian captured tanks or Western tanks, oh yeah, no restrictions whatsoever. I actually really like this video. This is from Kamchatka. The action is taking place in just some kind of like a car shop, like a store where you buy parts for it. You see there is this two men just selling, you know, like three actually. Basically, the owners of the shop, they have made this template for people who want to refund something. Yeah, in Russia it's really hard to refund anything. You have to literally write like I am blah blah blah, born in this is my passport, blah blah blah. I want you to return to take this back and give me the money. And so here they gave the so-called template and they filled it out as an example kind of. And what's funny is they put in the name, first name is Zakiev and the second name is Zamir. And the patronym, the so-called father's name, is Rustamovich. And Zakiev, Zamir in Russian, literally translates as for Kiev, for peace, Rustamovich. And the lady, when she read this, she turned like freaking mad. She's like, don't take this. They're like, it's a joke. She's like, this is a joke. My uncle has died there. And this is a joke, right? No. And she says, you even highlighted Za Kiev for peace. So Kiev stands as a capital. Zamir. Zamir. So M is also capital. So, you know, it would be easier to read it. She says, I want you faces to be known for the whole Kamchatka to see what you're doing in here. Apparently, even if you write a name Zamir, which is actually a real name, I think I've heard it from like Uzbek immigrants to Russia, like Tajik immigrants. I'm pretty sure it's a real name, Zamir. But if you, depends what kind of intonation you're using when you are saying this word. If you are saying Zamir, it literally translates as for peace. And the surname was Zakiev, which is also, I'm pretty sure there are people who has the surname Zakiev. Is it? I'm pretty sure. Let me actually look it up. Yeah, I mean, even on Wikipedia, there is a surname Zakiev, and it says familia, which is a surname. And there is even people who are real people with a real name from Russia, by the way, from Azerbaijan. Here you go. Ilham Zakiev. That's literally the guy who has this name. And he was, I mean, it's a really smart way of saying that we are against the war. But apparently the lady got pissed off by this combination of letters, which translates literally for peace for Kiev. Here's a moment from the Russian propaganda channel.
Репортаж про поезда. А рельсы-то, смотрите.
He says, we've just watched a video about railroads in Ukraine, but look,
станции
all the railroads are in good shape. All the railroad stations are fine.
везде целые, а фашисты бомбили все железнодорожные узлы.
But he says, but fascists, not meaning Ukrainians, okay, meaning like Second World War, but fascists has bombed all the railroad stations and all the railroad tracks.
Поэтому, я думаю, наш генеральный штаб
That's why our general staff
тоже соответствующие выводы сделал,
has to make some conclusions.
уточнил объекты, каталог объектов огневого поражения.
Okay, so he says like they already made conclusions, and basically he's justifying the hits on infrastructure, which is railroads, by fascists doing the same thing during the Second World War. Remind me, who is denazifying who, please? I don't think there's something messed up in here, but big time. So it was me, Zach the Russian. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to support Ukraine, and there are also ways to support my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next videos.